Department of Health, Washington Chapter, AAP, and within reach. No matter where your classroom is, whether in person or online, routine vaccinations protect your child from serious diseases like measles, mumps, and chickenpox, and they keep your child safe, healthy, and thriving. Need help finding a provider? Visit parenthelp123.org or call the Help Me Grow Washington hotline at 1-800-322-2588.
Hello, listener. What's important to you about what's going on in your community? Are you interested? Are you concerned? In any case, I invite you to tune into my show, Seattle Here and Now, on Rainier Avenue Radio App. Why? I will be covering a wide range of topics important to you and impacting the community. Each show will have a special guest or guests to share with you information on a variety of subjects that are happening here and now in Seattle. I promise I will work hard to make my show informative, interesting, and entertaining. Be sure to listen to Seattle Here and Now on Rainier Avenue Radio World.
This is Big Poppy, host of Jazz from the Cabinets. Join me each week for a listening tour of the first century of jazz, an eclectic mix of Dixieland, big band, cool jazz, bebop, contemporary jazz, world jazz, all jazz in all forms. That's Jazz from the Cabinets with Big Poppy on Rainier Avenue Radio, streaming worldwide on RainierAvenueRadio.world.
Wash your hands, don't touch your face, wipe things down, clean up your space. When you cough and sneeze, do responsibly. If you feel you're getting ill, isolate at home and chill. No, you're not alone. Please pick up your phone and call 206-477-3977. King County 206-477-3977. Public Health 206-477-3977. King County 206-477-3977. Public Health Community Radio Station will provide you with more information. Say Rainier Avenue Radio. Your community radio station will provide you with more information. Rainier Avenue Radio.
Would you like to see when your favorite Rainier Avenue Radio show comes on? Check out our show schedule, updated weekly at RainierAvenueRadio.world.
Welcome. This is Brenda Charles-Edwards, host of Seniors Matter. We're live every Friday at 12:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on www.RainierAvenueRadio.world, your community radio station. You can also watch on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch TV, and of course, the Rainier Avenue Radio app. Seniors Matters invites a variety of guests to discuss issues and activities that may impact the lives of older adults, their families, and the community. If you're interested in knowing more about what gift you can give to your loved ones, join me on Zoom for a group or individual session on end-of-life planning. Call me at 206-683-2636. This year's Metro League Championship game on June 11th, which is tonight, features play-by-play by Rick Dupree. I don't know who the winners are for the first part to meet, but stay tuned. Rick will let you know. My special guest is Karen Winston. She works as an Aging and Disability Services, City of Seattle, Human Services Department, Senior Planner, and she's also a member of the Memory Sunday Community Planning Team. Welcome to the show, Karen. It's so good to see you again. That title is such a mouthful.
It's good to see you too, Brenda. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. I know how important this is. So tell our audience, what is Memory Sunday and when is it recognized?
Okay, so let's see. So today, I'm going to talk about 20 minutes, give you an overview first. I'm going to start with the overview of Aging and Disability Services before I start talking about Memory Sunday, if that's okay.
That's perfect. Go for it.
I'd also like to present some demographic information on Alzheimer's, and then we'll talk about more about Memory Sunday.
Sure.
So first of all, Aging and Disability Services, we are also known as an area agency on aging, also known as a AAA.
Yes.
And we are one of 13 in the state of Washington. We are the AAA for King County. And in this county, we serve about 25% of the overall state over adult population. We're also mandated through the Older Americans Act to have an advisory council, and that's a picture of our members. So the Older American Act has priority populations, and these are the populations that we're mandated to serve. And that includes, people 60 and over, adults with disabilities, those with limited English speaking abilities, and low income, and of course, people from communities of color. We also offer in-house programs for unpaid caregivers. We have a Medicaid long-term care case management program, which serves adult age 18 and over. And I should have updated that, but in 2019, our budget was about $54 million. I believe it's much more than that now, and I apologize for not having that latest number.
No
we
problem.
We have a little over 200 staff. Most of those staffs are the case manager. Even though we're housed in a City of Seattle department, because of our funding, we're required to serve countywide. So we have an office in the Renton area to serve adults in South King County.
Wow. You guys are all over.
Yeah. And then a little bit about the demographics and people with dementia. In Washington State, we have over 100,000 people, actually 117,000 people that have some form of dementia. In King County, that number is a little over 35,000. And Alzheimer's and dementia is the 6th leading cause of death in the country. It's the 3rd leading cause of death for the state of Washington, and also the 3rd leading cause of death in King County. And the number is likely to double by the year of 2025. And we're not far away from 2025. So
no.
This is an urgent issue.
So Karen.
Yes.
How many African Americans are affected by this?
Your question is so timely, Brenda. That's my next slide.
Oh, okay.
National data shows that African Americans are 2 times more likely to be diagnosed with Alzheimer's when compared to whites. And that's what this chart shows for King County. This is not a national map. This is for King County. And it shows that the highest of the reported diagnosed cases are for Native Americans, followed by African Americans, and then Latinos. And so that's what this chart shows.
Boy.
It's also unfortunate, let me add a point, that when our people are diagnosed, we put off that diagnosis. So a lot of times when we finally get the diagnosis, we're at a point where interventions are no longer viable, I guess, or accessible. So it's important for people, if they know things that, sorry about that.
That's okay.
It's important for people, if they recognize certain things going on, that you talk to your doctor about it right away.
Karen, can you give a couple examples of what that might be, so our audience might have an idea of what to look for, especially our African American audience?
Yeah, well, it's different for everyone, and there are signs that are normal, and there are signs that are not normal. For example, I misplaced my keys. That's normal. We all do that from time to time, and it shouldn't be a reason for concern. If you're driving and you can't remember where you are, that's a red flag. Another red flag is when you're unable to do your bills. So those are a couple of examples of some things to be concerned about if you notice any of those.
Thank you.
So what Memory Sunday is, it is an annual nationally recognized event that typically takes place on the second Sunday in June. But because the whole month of June is Alzheimer's Awareness Month, it's okay to have a Memory Sunday on any Sunday in June, but the preference is for the second Sunday. The purpose of Memory Sunday is to provide, to increase awareness and provide information about, brain health and signs to look for and prevention, from the pulpit. We often take to heart things that are coming from the pastor or from members of the leadership team of the church. And so this is why we ask churches to be involved in informing the congregations. It's also a way to encourage folks to get involved in research studies. And it's a way for churches to support caregivers who are taking care of their loved ones who may have memory loss. Now, Memory Sunday was created by an organization called the Balm and Gilead, and they have a National Brain Health Center for African Americans. I provide a link to the center at the end of this presentation. The Balm and Gilead provides an awesome Memory Sunday toolkit, and it was updated for 2021. And there's a picture of the updated version. This is a fantastic guide for churches to follow in supporting the caregivers and people with memory loss in their congregation. There's information in there about creating support groups and planning retreats because, sometimes caregivers need a break.
Yes, they do. That's what we call respite, right?
Yes. And there are templates in there and suggestions on ways you might plan these events for caregivers in your congregation.
So Karen, before you go on, how has the pandemic affected caregivers and the respite help that they need?
Well, the pandemic has had a really, really hard impact on caregivers, primarily because a lot of the respite programs, these adult daycare centers that provide the respite care and other activities for people with memory loss, they were closed during the pandemic. So, caregivers had no outlet, and found it very difficult to practice the good self-care, techniques and things that we do to take care of ourselves when we're under, a lot of stress. And so they've not had these outlets. And so it's been very difficult. Now, I know of some support groups that pivoted to providing online support groups, and that has helped some. But yeah, a lot of the services that they relied on have been shut down during the pandemic. So it's really been hard, not only for those that suffer with the disease, but especially for the caregivers.
Right.
But back to the toolkit. The toolkit includes resources for pastors as well. There are special prayers and Bible verses in there that they can reference. There's a call and responsive readings that are in there that are related. The toolkit also includes a lot of social media and communication guides and guides for using memory screening tools. If people are willing to have a screening just to see, just to receive an indication that something may be going on. And if something is spotted, then they're encouraged to follow up with their doctors.
So Karen, you guys have been doing this since about what, 2018?
Yeah, this is our 5th year.
Oh, wow.
Excuse me, this is our 4th year. I'm sorry,
Okay.
our 4th.
So do you have any numbers on like how many people, the congregations have been able to reach in these last couple years?
Yes, and should I jump to that slide, or do you want me to continue?
Oh, you can continue, and then we'll bring it up before we end.
Okay. All right. I'll get there as quickly as I can.
No problem.
So now I just want to talk about some of the steps I went through to organize these teams. A lot of churches have these health ministries.
Mm-hmm.
And so in reaching out to these churches, that's the person I tried to find. Who's in charge of the health ministry? And in addition to reaching out to the pastors. So once that person was identified, then that person became part of my Memory Sunday planning team. So I had 3 meetings with my team. The first meeting is orientation. We do introductions. I provide background information and data, much like I did a few minutes ago. We coordinate the church presentations and resource materials before the day comes. And then Memory Sunday comes. And then our third meeting is we celebrate, we debrief, and evaluate. So promoting Memory Sunday, you may have seen it on social media. It's on Facebook, a little bit on Instagram and Twitter, and also in our online newsletter, Age-Wise. We have an article in there and information about the different churches that are participating. So here's the answer to your question, Brenda.
Okay.
In 2018, we had 4 churches participating. 2019, we grew to 5 churches. And let me go back and say that in 2018, those churches were primarily in Seattle. 2019, we got 1 church, Martin Luther King Memorial Baptist Church, that was outside of Seattle in Renton. And then in 2020, we had 12 churches. I think this was in part, due to the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of churches were broadcasting virtually.
Right.
And so we were not able to be at their churches to distribute the resource material, but we contacted these churches to ask them to please say a special prayer on behalf of the caregivers and the people with dementia in their care.
Wonderful.
Let me go back real quick. I just want to add that in 2020, we have 20 churches that will be participating this year. So I'm really happy about that.
You mean 2021?
Excuse me, 2021. Yeah.
That's fantastic. That really is.
Yeah.
Having been on the planning team the first year, 2018, I know that you do a lot of work, and this is really a great opportunity for the church to be more involved with their members on a emotional level as well as physical, and especially the caregivers.
Exactly. That support is so important, Brenda.
Yes.
And so in 2018, our reach was about 325 individuals with those 4 congregations. 2019,
540. And in 2020, it was.
I'm guesstimating because, if each church had 100 people participate online, then I'm guesstimating we had maybe we reached about 1,000 people with the Memory Sunday.
Sure,
and I'm
that's
hoping
doable.
to increase that this year. So just a little bit quickly about the resources we use. And again, this is if we were able to be in the churches, we would present this information, which is still available. If you contact me, I'm certainly willing to mail this information to anyone who contacts me. So there's a lot of information from the Alzheimer's Association. I'm so happy they have materials now with people on it that look like me.
Yeah, yes.
For a long time, that wasn't the case.
Yes.
But now it is. We have a lot of local information about programs offered here. That's the information on your right. Information.
Karen,
Yes.
can you go back just a second? I just wanted to say about the dementia roadmap.
Mhm.
I was one of the first few people that were trained to be facilitators that went out to talk about this. And this roadmap is really great. It tells you so much that you didn't know, because I sure didn't know anything before I took that class. But I think the one thing that really stuck out for me was seeing how the brain shrinks.
Mhm.
And just seeing that in the, I hate to say holes, but the gaps in the brain was just, it was just amazing. We see things that people do on the outside, but we don't know what's happening to them on the inside. And I think knowing that information sort of helps and gives you the ability to have more understanding and compassion for the person that is dealing with dementia. Would you agree?
Oh, yes, I agree wholeheartedly. And this roadmap is actually a treasure for any caregiver out there whose loved one may have dementia. Not only does the roadmap provide information that you described through each stage of the progression of the disease, the roadmap not only tells you what to expect, what to look for, but it has resources available for each step of the way. So it's a valuable resource.
Right.
So again, if anyone in the listening audience is interested in receiving any of these materials, please contact me. And more on the materials that come from the National Institute on Aging. And you might notice on the left side, there's a booklet there called Participating in Alzheimer's Research. Now that's something that a lot of our people don't get involved in. But I just want to make a pitch here that in order to know if things are going to work for us, we have to be involved in the research,
Right.
to see if it will happen, to make it happen. So there are a lot of studies out there, even through our local University of Washington. So I encourage you to contact the University of Washington for a listing of those available studies that you might be interested in participating in. Okay. So just a few pictures of what the resource tables look like. Again, if we were able to be in the churches, hopefully next year we'll have that opportunity. This was the table at Martin Luther King Missionary Baptist Church. This was the table at First AME. And I attend the Emerald City Community Seventh-day Adventist Church. I love that church. And at that church, the person on the planning committee is also a program director at the Center for Multicultural Health. She had her staff come and do blood pressure checks.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, and I think that generated a lot more interest in the materials that we had to share. So I encourage people to make those kinds of connections too.
So Karen, who's on your planning team this year?
Okay, here's the slide. So Janelle Okaragu from the Center for Multicultural Health, Eudora Carter Lowry from the Center for Multicultural Health, Charlotte Ruff, who is a retired nurse. She retired from public health, Seattle, King County. She's also, still very active in the community. And Minister Shirley Poston.
Yay.
At Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church, and members from the Mayor's Council on African American Elders.
That's wonderful. And by the way, Karen is liaison for that group, and she does a very fine job. I was briefly, 4 years involved, but yeah. Karen was my right hand.
And we miss you too, Brenda.
I miss you guys too.
So my last two slides, this week I attended a webinar that was called Dinner and a Dialogue, dementia-friendly African-American churches.
Really?
This involved a panel of 5 speakers, African-American women throughout the country who are doing dementia-friendly programming in their congregations. So I put a link to that webinar. You can watch it on YouTube. It's an hour long, and I encourage you and our listening audience to watch this video. In my opinion, it takes Memory Sunday a step further. You know, Memory Sunday is about educating, but this webinar was about what the churches are actually doing. They're programming in support of people with dementia and their caregivers. It was awesome. Presentation.
I will check that out.
And then lastly, as I mentioned earlier, it's the Balm and Gilead who are the authors and the creators of Memory Sunday. Their website is just a treasure of resources. And I encourage you to visit their website and learn so much more about what they're doing. And also check out the African American Brain Health Center for more information. And their website is listed there, www.balmandgilead.org. And
yeah, Karen, you need to update your slide because it says Karen Winston, MSW planner. It should be senior planner.
Thank you, Brenda. I'm going to stop sharing now.
Okay, but I also want to let my audience know that if you didn't catch, Karen's email is karen.winston@seattle.gov, or you can reach her at 206-684-0706. Right, Karen?
Right.
I was teasing Karen about the planner part because she recently received a promotion as senior planner, and I won't go out on the limb and said she should have been one long time ago, but I'm glad that she got her promotion because she does a lot of work. You just don't know what Karen does behind the scenes for every organization that she's involved in. And she is a gem that we definitely appreciate. Karen, do you have anything else you'd like to add about the program? I know there's so much, and you have given us a lot. Thank you, how thorough you were on that. I really appreciate that.
Thank you. You know, I just want to give a shout out to the 20 churches that are involved this year. And if I can take a minute to run through the list, First AME, Emerald City Community, Seventh-day Adventist, Emerald City Bible Fellowship, Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church, New Hope Baptist Church, Kingdom Christian Center, Holly Park Community Church, Greater New Bethel Missionary Baptist Church, Renton Seventh-day Adventist, Mount Calvary Christian Center, Restoration Bible Church, St. Peter's Methodist Church, that's in Bellevue, People's Institutional Baptist Church, Damascus International, Prim Tabernacle AME, Walker Chapel AME, the Christ Church, Mount Zion Baptist Church, Maranatha Adventist Church, and Seattle Ghana Fellowship Seventh-day Adventist Church. So again,
wow.
Just so thankful for everyone for offering a special prayer for caregivers and those who are experiencing dementia, and just, encouraging better brain health and offering, more support to these families.
Right. So on that note, I'm going to say thank you to my audience for listening. Thank you to you, Karen, for all the information that you have shared with us. I'm going to look forward to talking with you later because I have something to give you, and we will be connecting soon. So
I look forward to that.
Be safe, live your life like it's golden, and the coronavirus special edition is next. Have a good weekend. Bye, Karen.
Thanks, everyone.
Hey, yeah. Oh, yeah.